Hey guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm back and I see you are as well. I hope everyone is having a wonderful evening. It is Wednesday, October 23rd, and it is 9:54 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get right into the news. But first, you knew that was coming, didn't you? But first, I want to thank Flor Ricio Solas. I'm not sure if I pronounced your name properly or not, but I've seen your name for a very long time. I know you've sent me things in the mail as well. I remember getting something from you. I think that was you. And anyway, she increased her pledge on Patreon. So thank you very, very much. I appreciate that more than you know, because that is just goes to help kind of offset the time that I spend doing this and help me with equipment and so forth. So I appreciate it. And there's been no coffee donors since the 20th. So I've had no coffee donations or PayPal donations or snail mail. So it's all right. I'm over it. Okay, let's get into the news. And there's lots. There's always lots. But we have some interesting stuff here. Report DOJ investigation into origins of Russia probe expanding. Well, that is always good news, right? It's expanding. CIA officials now hiring lawyers. Well, you don't hire lawyers unless you're planning on using them for something. So obviously, this is good news. It has to be good news. If they're hiring lawyers, that's a good sign that they're finding lots. So yeah, it's expanding, and who knows? I have to remain hopeful that something's going to come of all this. Otherwise, it has been a colossal waste all way round, both from what the Democrats have wasted in the taxpayers' money in funding these ridiculous witch hunts. And then if the other side isn't doing anything and is just playing around but doesn't plan to prosecute, then, well, we've wasted all that money as well. So I've got to hope that they are doing what they say they're doing, and it is being looked into, and it's all in perfect timing. Anyway, according to a bombshell report from NBC News, Connecticut U.S. Attorney John Durham's investigation into the origins of the Russia probe is significantly expanding, forcing former CIA officials like John Brennan and James Clapper to hire lawyers. A couple weeks ago, there became speculation that Attorney General Bill Barr gave Durham the green light to expand the investigation. This seems to be true, according to NBC News and Brennan himself. I don't know what the legal basis for this is, Brennan angrily said on NBC News when he confirmed that the investigation into the origins of the Russia probe was expanding. I'm very comfortable with everything I was involved in, he also noted. Well, of course he was comfortable with everything he was involved in. Criminals usually are. NBC News reports Durham has also requested to talk to CIA analysts involving the intelligence assessment of Russia's activities, prompting some of them to hire lawyers, according to three former CIA officials familiar with the matter. Tension between the CIA and the Justice Department over what classified documents Durham can examine. Check out what the Daily Wire reported. The New York Times also revealed some new details about the ongoing review Saturday, citing unnamed former officials and others familiar with the matter. The Times reports that the federal prosecutors have asked witnesses pointed questions about any anti-Trump bias among former FBI officials who were frequent targets of President Trump, and about the earliest steps they took in the Russia inquiry. Thus far, according to the Times sources, Durham's team has interviewed about 24 current and former FBI officials, while 2 senior FBI officials are assisting in the process. The number of interviews shows that Mr. Durham's review is further along than previously known, the Times notes. As for the expansion of the probe, NBC reports that Barr has given Durham the go-ahead to expand both his staff and the time frame he can examine, which now includes conduct past Donald Trump's inauguration in January 2017. NBC also notes suggestively that DOJ officials would offer no comment when asked if the review has morphed into a criminal investigation. Well, I'm quite certain it has morphed into a criminal investigation. Why wouldn't it? When there was clearly criminal activity. The bogus Russia investigation into President Trump was started by former FBI director. Excuse me, because I see my cat is about to jump up on this where my microphone is. There we go. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you. Okay, the bogus Russia investigation into President Trump was started by former FBI Director James Comey. Surprise there, no, who later handed the baton to Robert Mueller, who spent 2 years investigating President Trump. Once the Mueller report was released and it became clear that the then candidate Trump never colluded with the Russians, people began asking themselves, how did the investigation even start in the first place? That's a good question. Well, one that I think we're all familiar with the answer to. The Daily Wire continues, as for alleged obstruction of justice by Trump, the special counsel came to no conclusion at all, stating, while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him, a non-conclusion met with much criticism from both sides. The DOJ's review of the roles of various FBI and CIA officials in the origins of the Russia probe, in a sense, flips the focus of the initial investigation, looking not at Trump and his associates, but at those who allegedly helped promote what Mueller determined to be the evidence-less, because there was no evidence, collusion narrative, because, as we know, there was no collusion. Not on Trump's part. There most certainly was on the part of Hillary, the Obama administration, etc., 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 but not on the part of Donald Trump's administration. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below. Well, I would ask you the very same thing. Let me know what your thoughts are about this. Do you think this is a good thing? That the fact that they're expanding the focus and hiring more lawyers? I think it is. I can't see how it could be a bad thing. But anyway, let me know in the comments below. I appreciate your comments. I love combing through them. So let me know. A lot of you guys are right on, and I appreciate the fact that many of you will correct me if I'm wrong about something. I do appreciate that because I'm just one person, and there's so many more of you than there is of me. So yeah, I get it wrong sometimes, and I will be the first to admit it. That's why we need everyone. We are the news, not me. We are the news. So, all right. Let's go back here because we've got plenty to go over today. I may have to do 2 videos, two. All right. This news breaking, over 1,600 images and 270 videos of child pornography found on Department of Justice employees' personal computer. Yeah. Wow. A former Department of Justice information technology specialist has been sentenced to federal prison for possession of child pornography. Robert Thomas Derenberg, 34, was sentenced to 48 months in federal prison. He has also been ordered to pay $15,000 in restitution, serve 10 years of supervised release following his prison term, and register as a sex offender upon his release from prison. During their investigation, investigators discovered that Derenberg's personal computer contained approximately 1,630 images of child pornography, including approximately 270 videos that had been encrypted in an attempt to conceal the evidence. He has been employed by the Department of Justice at the time, but is no longer employed by them. That is good news, I'm sure, for everyone involved. We don't need people like that in the Department of Justice. And also, it kind of perplexes me why somebody working in this administration under this president would not be extremely cautious or avoid it altogether, which would be, my recommendation. I mean, honestly, if you're prone to that activity, you should be seeking help, really. It is not fair to the children involved at all. And if that is your proclivity, then please run. Don't walk. Run to the nearest place you can get help. I would personally go to a pastor, or if you're Catholic, a priest, or if you're Jewish, go to your rabbi, or if you are not a believer, go to a psychiatrist. I'm not sure how much success they've had with treating these disorders. My understanding is that they haven't had much success, but yeah. Anyway, let's go on from there, and let's get into this. This is some things just get stranger and stranger and stranger. Now, this says, State Representative Dan Hunt proposes new law that will send you to jail for 6 months if you call someone a bitch. Well, I don't know. I guess they're going to have to expand the jails a whole lot, right? Because, I mean, gosh, I don't even think a day goes by where you don't hear it from someone somewhere. So, yeah. Calling somebody a bitch now. 6 months in prison. And who's going to pay for these people to be in prison? We are. That's right. In perhaps the most blatant example of fascism and unconstitutional government overreach, a state representative from Boston has proposed legislation that would outlaw the word bitch. Well, what about dogs? No, I mean, I have a friend that used to show dogs. She raises, she did. She still has, she still continues to own Kerry Blue Terriers. And, she was in shows all over the place. And just from being in that little world a little bit, I mean, that's, they're always saying, well, I mean, it was hard for me to take at first, always talking about female dogs as bitches. I was like, that's kind of harsh, but anyway. There is a proper use of the word, so I don't think that they should rule it out. Anyway, New Bedford Guide, if Democrat Representative Daniel Hunt has his way, calling someone a bitch could get you jailed for up to 6 months. Here is the text of the proposed Massachusetts House bill that has already been concurred by the state Senate in May. Section 53 of Chapter 272 of the General Laws, as appearing in the 2016 official edition, is hereby amended by adding the following subsection. Do these people have nothing better to do? Is like everything just so wonderful in their districts that they just have to make up stuff to pass? I mean, really, this is ludicrous. So, C. A person who uses the word bitch directed at another person to accost, annoy, degrade, or demean the other person shall be considered to be a disorderly person in violation of this section and shall be subject to the penalties provided in subsections A and B. A violation of this subsection may be reported by the person to whom the offensive language was directed at or by any witness to such incident. Wow. Perhaps less people would call Dan Hunt a bitch if he simply stopped acting like a whiny little bitch. Ooh, okay. Yeah. And Hunt represents the 13th Suffolk District, which is basically just Dorchester and parts of Quincy. So I guess if you're going to call somebody that, just kind of go outside of those areas. I don't know. If I could pick a district that uses the word bitch in normal everyday conversation between law-abiding citizens more than any other district, it would be this one. Question, will we also go to jail for sharing memes? Probably. Asking for a friend. So many great things will be outlawed because of this. the Brockton Hub rap music, Jesse Pinkman, and it's being done in the name of feelings. This is where the left has brought us to. They are literally writing laws to ban free people from exercising their freedoms because it hurts the feelings of some people. It's no longer just blue check marks on Twitter whining that their feelings were hurt because Dave Chappelle said something offensive. It's the government of Massachusetts sending you to jail if you say mean words. Ironically, this is taking place in Suffolk County, where Rachel Rollins is the DA. This is the woman who has chosen not to prosecute 15 crimes, many of them violent, that used to result in jail time because she's against mass incarceration. Now people on her team are drafting legislation that could send people to jail for 6 months because some little bitch had his feelings hurt. Excuse me, but that's what it said. This is the modern day Democratic Party. Dan Hung was elected for the first time in 2014 because he represents a district that is overwhelmingly blue. No one on the right bothers to run against him. That's sad, to tell you the truth. Maybe somebody on the right should run against him. You never know. Blues have a funny way of turning red. Anyway, why would they? You're just wasting time and money because sheep will show up at the polls and vote for anything with a pulse so long as it has a D next to it. It doesn't matter if they're trying to send you to jail for using a potty word where you'll ironically become someone's bitch. This is just more evidence that the Democrat Party now exists to oppose free speech. First, they began policing social media and people put up with it because private company. Now they're banning conversations in public. When you give the government the right to define hate speech, this is what they will inevitably do. Normally, when you see crazy legislation like this coming from one of the usual suspects, Jamie Eldridge, Michael DuBois, Liz Miranda, etc. No one has ever heard of Dan Hunt before because he's not a big name in the party. However, he's obviously been watching AOC gain fame on social media by saying the dumbest things imaginable, and he's realized that this is how you climb in the Democratic Party in 2019. Well, there's truth there. Please consider supporting local journalism by donating to the Turtle Fund. I don't know what it's the Turtle Fund, but there you go. Must be associated with this Turtle Boy. I don't know. Turtle Boy. Oh, Turtle Boy Daily News. That's where it comes from. All right. Well, there you go. So stop saying that word if you say it. Well, stop saying it if you're in those areas, I guess. All right. Now, let's go back to here, right here, and let's look at this. Oh, the interesting things we find. Amazing admission from CNN. Mexico has built Trump's wall and is paying for it. Now, this is hot off the press today, October 23rd. Let's take a look. It's why the man of people love him. He does what he says he'll do. CNN, Mexico has essentially built Trump's wall and is paying for it. Posted at 9:30 p.m. on October 21st. Okay, it has obviously been updated since then. You may have noticed in reports about illegal immigration that there's been a precipitous drop in apprehensions at the border. That's not because there are fewer being caught. That's because there are fewer coming across. That's in large measure due to the cooperation deal that President Donald Trump struck with Mexico. You never hear that, though, do you? No. In fact, even CNN had to admit Trump's success, as Newsbusters observed. In an astonishing case of pigs flying, CNN actually ran an article on Sunday by Catherine Choichet and Natalie Gallion, why some say Mexico already built Trump's wall and paid for it. In it, they note that Mexico has effectively built the wall, that Mexico, by marshaling thousands of their troops to prevent people from coming in and not going north to the U.S., is acting as the wall itself. Among the things they have done, nearly 15,000 troops are deployed to Mexico's northern border, where they've set up 20 checkpoints. Mexican Defense Minister Luis Crescencio Sandoval said last week at a press briefing on the country's security strategy at the southern border, 12,000 troops are deployed and have set up 21 checkpoints, and it's worked. Asked to respond to claims that Mexico is effectively paying for the wall Trump wanted, Foreign Ministry spokesman Robert Velasco told the CNN that migration flows have notably decreased in recent months and that efforts continue for a regional development plan to address the root causes of migration in Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. The number of migrants presented before Mexican authorities has decreased by 70% from June to September, he said. This all came after the threat of tariffs from Trump earlier in the year. CNN doesn't seem completely pleased while noting this success, quoting Univision's George Ramos. It's true, President Trump is using Mexico, and against all logic, Mexico is letting him get away with it, he wrote. This has to change. Why does this have to change? Because it's too successful? Oh, we can't have success. Why would you want to stop success? Because it doesn't align with the Democrat effort to open the borders? That's exactly right. That's exactly why they want to stop success, because it doesn't align with their narrative. And how else are they going to get voters? You know, really, thinking people do not seem to be voting for these people. It's quite evident, don't you think? And obviously, just like happened here, the newcomers are going to vote for whoever gives them the most stuff. Well, who wouldn't? All right. So, but in this case, it's also to Mexico's benefit because they're protecting their own sovereignty as well as preventing folks from getting north to get to the United States. So will other media pick up on this and give credit where credit is due? I'm not holding my breath on that, but I'll tell you this. This is why I think CNN is conceding some of these things, because I think that they are afraid of being sued, and they should be, because if I was Donald Trump, which of course I'm not, but if I was, I would be seriously considering suing CNN. They deserve to be sued. What they've done is reprehensible. So, yeah, I think they're treading very, very carefully, if you get my drift. That's what I think. All right. I don't think it's all of a sudden that they care about journalistic integrity at all. I don't think they've ever cared about journalistic integrity, but they do care about being sued. Yeah. When it comes to money, yeah, they care. So, all right. Let's go back. No, really. Here we are. Now, I don't know if I want to get into that right off. And we've already looked at this, so I'm not sure why I put it in there twice, but I'm going to take it out because we don't need to look at it twice. We've looked at it once, and that's enough. All right. Oh, yes. We have to get to this. Absolutely, we have to. Look at this. This just made me smile like a crazy woman. No, it did. Just like a crazy woman. Really. Jordan's King Abdullah rejects Pelosi and Schiff. Oh, let me read that again because it was so sweet to my ears. Like it just kind of made me tingle all over and just feel warm and fuzzy. Yeah, Jordan's King Abdullah rejects Pelosi and Schiff. Oh, don't you get that? I just get this warm feeling all over when I read that. I really do. Yeah, it's something. Yeah. Anyway, rejects Pelosi and Schiff by endorsing Trump withdrawal from Syria. Well, you mean their little attempt to undermine Trump didn't work? Apparently not. Oh, these guys are something else. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and disgraced lying Congressman Adam Schiff met with King Abdullah of Jordan, only to find out that the King of Jordan agrees with President Trump's Syria withdrawal, as well as his support for maintaining the Syrian border, Assad's government, and Russia's enforcement. I guess they are not ready for primetime players. The last-minute fishing expedition had 2 stops, Jordan to see a king and Afghanistan to meet with the Taliban. Well, isn't that lovely that they were meeting with the Taliban? I bet you they all sat around and had tea and crumpets. Don't you think? I bet you, Pelosi showed them how to knit, and Schiff probably, I don't know, taught them how to massage babies. Some of you will get that and some of you won't. But anyway, so yeah, they met with King Abdullah and the Taliban. Okay. The alleged bipartisan delegation, bipartisan? Who said it was bipartisan? I don't think so. Anything led by Pelosi is definitely not bipartisan. I'm just saying, putting it out there. The alleged bipartisan delegation led by Pelosi and Schiff is really not bipartisan. No. Really? Thornberry is the only Republican representative that joined the Pelosi-Schiff fishing expedition. He is not running for re-election like all compromised fake GOP corrupt rhinos. He decided to step down rather than be called out, and that was probably a wise move on his behalf. The first stop was Jordan, where both Pelosi and Schiff tried to get the king of Jordan to condemn President Trump's decision to pull out of Syria, but they didn't succeed. Instead, King Abdullah reinforced how important it is to maintain Syrian borders, according to the Jordan news agency. Don't you love that they went over and got embarrassed? They just got embarrassed. Like, what are you guys doing here? I'm all for Trump. No, I'm not going to condemn Trump. I love me some Trump. Well, maybe he didn't say that, but I think he does love him some Trump. Not in a bad way. But. All right. So, turning to the Syrian crisis, the king urged a political solution that safeguards Syria's territorial integrity and the unity of its people while guaranteeing the safe and voluntary return of refugees. The meeting also covered regional and international efforts to counter terrorism within a comprehensive approach. For their part, the U.S. lawmakers commended Jordan's efforts led by His Majesty in pursuit of peace and stability in the region, praising the king's wisdom. They expressed keenness to hear the king's perspective on regional and global developments, adding that they are pleased to be present in Jordan as the kingdom marks 20 years since His Majesty assumed his constitutional powers. Yeah, there's Pelosi. A local royal family reporter of lauraloomer.us told us the U.S. congressional delegation kept trying to get the king to agree or state that he disagrees with President Trump's move of removing U.S. troops and their involvement. Statements like, "You are a neighboring nation. You must disagree with the unexpected and reckless withdrawal of our presence." Or, "The American people feel that our removal of troops has caused instability in the region. Do you agree?" His Highness was getting agitated as they kept trying to get him to say something he didn't agree with. They noticed he was getting agitated, so they started appeasing him. It was very awkward. Well, indeed it would be, wouldn't it? Because these two, Schiff and Pelosi, are used to getting their own way, lying, thieving, embezzling, drinking liquid lunches. They're used to having their own way. They're like little children. And now they've gone thinking, oh yeah, well, we can go behind Trump's back and we can be the heroes in all of this to the American people, because then we'll go over and we'll get him to say that he condemns what Trump did. Yeah, that's what they were. And they were negotiating with a foreign leader without proper authorization or any authorization. So they were clearly in violation of the Logan Act, and now they've been embarrassed on top of that. Good on them. They need to be embarrassed, highly embarrassed. But, of course, we probably won't see this splashed all over the news like we should. We should see it splashed all over the news that they went over there and, were jeopardizing diplomacy. They weren't trying to advance it. Unbelievable, these people. Multiple sources tell us that Pelosi and Schiff were actually discussing and negotiating foreign policy. What qualifies them to undermine our administration's foreign policy? I'd like to know that too. Clearly a violation of the Logan Act. They know the King of Jordan is adamant on a two-party state solution, as the only open entry to Palestinian territory is through Jordan for those unable to enter Israel. As the Ukrainian quid pro quo is collapsing, Pelosi and Schiff are actually making quid pro quo deals to the king to find to find quid pro quo. Isn't this a violation of the Logan Act? Yes, clearly it is. We have been told that the conversations are transcribed. Pelosi and Schiff promising two-state legislation to King Abdullah in exchange for denouncing President Trump's Middle Eastern policy and actions, failing to get the King of Jordan to give them the sound bites and statements that they'd hoped for. They hopped on the plane and went to Afghanistan to meet with the president of Afghanistan and representatives of the Taliban. This failed quid pro quo by Pelosi and Schiff cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I think they should be responsible for paying back out of their own pockets. They were not authorized to leave and to do that. And they should have been. If they were going to engage in foreign diplomacy, they should have been authorized by the administration, by the Trump administration. They clearly were not. So any money they incurred by going over there should be paid by them out of their own pockets. And while they're at it, they should have to pay for Nancy's bar bill too, because none of us can afford to drink like she does. I mean, even if I drank, I couldn't afford to drink like that. I don't think anybody could. It's unbelievable. I don't know how her liver is still functioning. Excuse me. Okay. So, this failed quid pro quo by Pelosi and Schiff cost taxpayer hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tor is a nationally syndicated talk radio host that airs live Monday to Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern on Red State Talk Radio and a contributor for Lumered.com. Special thanks to Scott Adams. So, yeah, this is a really good article, and I'm telling you, it's literally, seriously made me smile like a crazy woman. Yeah, I might have even laughed a little bit. Like, I might have. I don't know. I was pretty happy. All right. Okay, now let's look at... Okay. Let's do... Well, let's look at this first. Time's a ticking here. All right, let's look at this. This is depressing. PG&E confirms it will be moving forward with power shutoffs in portion of the Sierra foothills and North Bay, as well as small parts of San Mateo and Kern counties beginning this afternoon. This round of shutoffs is expected to impact around 179,000 customers in 17 counties. And that's not 179 individual people. That's customers. Like if you are head of a family or whatever, it counts your whole household as one customer. So yeah, it's not just impacting 179,000 people. Yeah. Anyway. It upsets me this because I just wonder, you know, now that the power is shutting off, are the fires going to start up in those areas? It seems to be what always happens. And it says this is the appropriate timeline approximate timeline of upcoming PG&E power shutoffs, 2 p.m. in the Sierra foothills, 3 p.m. in the North Bay counties, 1 a.m. Thursday in affected areas in San Mateo and Kern counties. While you're here, please make sure you've prepared for power shutoffs with our handy checklist. Of course, generator, extra gas, fill your tank, your gas tank, be able to open electric doors. Yeah, make sure that you have made provisions for your pets, all that. It makes me very sad, and it also makes me upset when people say, well, those people in California, who cares what happens to them because blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? There's an awful lot of good people in California. I've said it before. I'll say it again. There's a lot of people that are listeners here that are from California, and they are definitely not liberal by any stretch of the imagination. So there are good conservative people there that are caught in the crossfire there, that they're not pleased with what's happening. So why would we wish any harm on them? And I don't. There's very good people there, and we need to pray for and support them in any way we can, because it's horrendous what's happening. All right, and I'm going to go back now and let me look at this. I'm not going to read this, but I do want you to be aware of it. And if I can get over there. Come on. Doesn't like me. Come on. It says Word is not responding. It's mad at me. I'll just wait for a second and see if it, smartens up, straightens up, starts flying right. Maybe not. All right, let me go back. Come on. Well, this is a fine how do you do. I might have to stop and actually, oh, here we go. Yay. All right. Florida Senate agrees with Governor DeSantis, votes to remove Broward Sheriff. Now, of course, we know that that is Sheriff Israel. And yeah, there's lots of reasons for him to be removed. Tallahassee, the Florida Senate made it official Wednesday and removed Scott Israel, Broward County's suspended top cop, who the governor blamed for the Broward Sheriff's Office botched response to February 14th, 2018 shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Israel, a Democrat, was halfway through his second term when Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, made good on a campaign promise in January and suspended Israel for incompetence and neglecting his duty. In his space, DeSantis named Gregory Toney, a former Coral Springs sergeant. After an emotional 4 hours of debate, I'm sorry, I have this little bug crawling on my screen. After an emotional 4 hours of debate, the same Senate that 20 months ago rejected calls for an assault weapon ban and revised school safety procedures after the Parkland shooting voted 25-15, largely along party lines, to remove Israel, winning praise from the families of the victims. And he should have been removed long ago. When you look up corruption in the dictionary, there should be a picture of him right along with a picture of Pelosi. Yeah, I'm just saying. But while Israel was on trial, so was the Senate, which, after receiving a recommendation that Israel be reinstated, had to carve a new precedent for holding sheriffs accountable to uphold DeSantis' promise. So Senate Republicans advanced a principle known as the alter ego of the sheriff, based on an 1868 state law that says sheriffs may appoint deputies to act under them who shall have the same power as the sheriff appointing them. The law was designed to empower deputies with the same powers as sheriffs in then sparsely populated Florida. It also gave deputies the same legal immunities as sheriffs. The Senate, however, has applied the statute in reverse, saying that the dereliction of duty can serve as grounds for removal of a sheriff. Senators pointed to former school resource officer Scott Peterson and other Broward deputies who failed to confront the shooter at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. They used that and other examples as evidence that Israel demonstrated systemic leadership failures and should be removed from office. Due process has been served. Senator Rob Bradley, Republican, Fleming Island, this isn't an individual failure. This was an institutional failure. Mr. Israel, if removed today, is not being removed for the acts of a single deputy. If he gets removed, it's because the institution failed. All but 3 Democrats, including all 5 from Broward County, disagreed. They warned that the Schiff approach gave the governor expansive new powers that could be abused. The rule of law matters, said Senator Gary Farmer, Democrat, Fort Lauderdale, suggesting that the new precedent will allow DeSantis to remove a sheriff if he doesn't like his politics, such as overseeing a sanctuary city. That's not true at all. And of course, the Democrats are going to whine and complain and say, "Oh, it's not fair." But it most certainly is. If anybody neglected their duty, it was Scott Israel. Like, really. So there you go. I'm not going to read all this. I'm glad that he has been removed. But the link will be in with my notes, which will be uploaded to Patreon. So you are more than welcome to grab those and to go check this out in its entirety if you wish. All right, let's go back. Not there. Here, over here. All right, now, this is something else that we need to touch on in this video. Steve Scalise, tonight, the Democrat majority leader told me to read the paper for the latest info from Schiff's impeachment saga. That's the problem. Members of Congress shouldn't have to learn about these proceedings by reading Democrat leaks in the liberal media. All should have access. And of course, I know we all agree with that. And I'm sure you know by now that the Republicans stormed the closed facility. It was actually a skiff in the bottom of the Capitol building, I believe. And they stormed it today because, of course, they're keeping out all of the Republicans, which is unheard of. It's unheard of. So let's take a look here. Oh, I was wondering what that noise is, and it is my cats in the bar room. They like to bang on the side of their litter box for some reason. I don't know why, but they do. All right, and this from Clint Eastwood, and I don't think it's the real Clint Eastwood, but who knows. Breaking, wow, great to see members of the GOP storming into the illegal impeachment hall of Representative Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler. Thank you, Jim Jordan, Representative Mark Meadows, Representative Matt Gaetz, Steve Scalise, Representative Lee Zeldin, Representative Doug Collins. Tell him I said to get off my lawn. So this is them, and they are, you know, I don't know if there's, I guess there is sound, but there they are. They're all storming in, as they should. Yeah, and of course, you know, Schiff then walked out. Like, I don't know why. What, were they doing something that they shouldn't have been doing in there? I mean, we would never know, would we? Anyway, let's go back. And look at this. Donna Brazile. Yes, I rolled my eyes. And I liked it. All right, Donna Brazile, defending the secretive nature of the House impeachment hearings, said today, when police are investigating a crime, the public is not invited to watch. That is like the most stupid analogy I've ever heard, Donna Brazile. Why? Well, this person says, true, Donna, but there was no crime. These investigators are not cops, and those being excluded are their peers. Yeah, it says when police are investigating a crime, the public is not invited to watch. Okay, but we're not talking about the public. We're talking about, you know, if you're going to use that analogy about the police investigating a crime, number one, there wasn't a crime. You're trying to invent one. So the police are trying to pin a crime on an innocent person, and the people that are trying to get in are fellow officers. So if you're going to use the analogy, use it right, Donna Brazile. But I guess you're not able to think that through properly, are you? Okay, I'm sorry. I was expecting too much from you. That's right, I forgot. Okay, and let's look at this. A little bit more on this. And this by Steve Scalise. If people scatter out of a room when you walk in and turn on the light, it begs the question, what are they hiding in there? That's exactly what happened when my colleagues and I entered the back room Schiff is trying to impeach Donald Trump from to get the truth. Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Now let's listen to Scalise.
But as we got in there, Adam Schiff got up and left with the witness. Now you think about this. If you walk into a room and you turn on the light, and as soon as you turn on the light, some of the people in the room run out of the room, it begs the question, what do they have to hide? Exactly. What are they trying to hide from the American people that they won't allow voting members of Congress to hear what's going on in that room? But as we got in there, Adam Schiff got up and...
So it's just going over the same thing now, but... Yeah, like he got up and walked out with the witness. Why? If everything's above board, why would they need to do that? Yeah. We know, don't we? And says, hey, Steve, I don't get it. Were they all sitting in the room in the dark? Is it possible that when the doors burst open, they saw Louis, thought he was the Grim Reaper, and scattering was simply an act of self-preservation? All right. And I'm just seeing if there's anything else down here that we should look at. And it says, Congressman, it's a skiff, not a back room. If you don't have clearance, you shouldn't be in there. You certainly shouldn't carry electronics in there. You made a mockery of national security today for a photo op. No, I disagree with that. Yes, it is a skiff, but they are just as able to go in there as any of the Democrats. So yeah. Anyway, all righty. Well, let's see what else we have, see if there's anything else I absolutely, positively have to cover before I end this. Yes, there is. All right. Now, I know you guys are all aware of this. It's a little 7-year-old boy. The mother says that he has gender dysphoria and that he's really, he should have been a female, that's what he wants to be, that whatever. He was meant to be a female, but the husband and wife, they are separated or divorced. I guess it's an ex-wife. And the father says that when the young boy is with him, he behaves like a boy. But when it's with the mother puts him in a dress and does his nails and everything and says that he's a girl. So there's been this huge outrage over this because now they have ruled that they can go ahead, the mother can go ahead with what is basically chemical castration. Yeah. And it says this from Patrick Howley, Jeff Younger might lose his son to an ex-wife who wants to affirm the boy's gender dysphoria. Jeff sent me this photo last night from church. This is his son James, happily dressed like the bright young boy he is. And there he is. He's a cute little boy. And it breaks my heart because he must feel, I don't know. He must feel completely torn because he's probably trying to please his mother by being a girl and please his father by being a boy. And he's probably totally confused. I don't know. But this seemed to be good news. After hearing that they were going to go ahead with this, I saw this from Jack Posobiec. And he is responding to Greg Abbott, Governor Greg Abbott. Says, thank you, Governor Abbott. And Greg Abbott of Texas says, for your information, the matter of 7-year-old James Younger is being looked into by my Texas Attorney General's office and the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Hashtag James Younger. So that's good news to me that it's being looked into. And I think Greg Abbott is a good guy as far as I'm concerned. I've only heard good things about him. I've heard that Texans really, really like the guy. So maybe this will get addressed. Now, I think I am going to stop there. Yeah, I think I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come back with another video though, but it will be on the other channel. The other channel. Yes, I'm going to throw a video up there. And that will be it for tonight. I do believe, although I do have lots more I could go over, that is for darn sure. Let me see, what time did I start? We're almost at an hour, so I think I'm going to leave these. I've got a couple more stories to go, but I think I'm going to cover those on the other channel just so I can keep building that channel up just in case it's needed. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening and all that you do, encouragement, donations, all that. It really helps. I appreciate your prayers and so forth. And I love reading your comments at night too. I get a kick out of you. So, and you also, a lot of you leave informing things. So I do appreciate that. Anyway. Have a good evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because deception, it'll kill you. Literally. Good night.